Hey LaShawnna, it's London. I wanted to make a video for you because, for one, I wasn't able to actually see you and talk to you before I left. And secondly, there were just some things that had really moved me, and I wanted to have a chance to share them with you. I know we're not very close. Obviously, first interacting with you was just the Beach Bum Project. I know, a lot of the people that you work with and have working under you, you have personal relationships with them or you've known them for quite some time. And so I know we're not super close, and I know you don't really necessarily know my story. And so when we were at dinner and people were talking about you and what you meant to them and the impact you made on their lives, it made me so like almost emotional. And it made me emotional. Oh, I'm getting emotional now. It made me emotional because um, um, having been a part of your agency and having the experiences that I've had thus far came at such like a pivotal time in my life. Oh Jesus, I did not think I was gonna get this emotional, but it came at a really pivotal time in my life when so many things were changing for me. And what I mean by that is, and I just wanted to share this with you because I want you to understand that sometimes we don't know how much of a positive impact we make on others. And I think that it's only right that I explain to you and help you understand, how even the little things that you do or we do as individuals and out of the kindness of our heart and out of like trying to push each other forward, um, it might make more of an impact on others than we actually know. Um, I did not expect to cry like this. But before I had come down to Miami to audition for Beach Bum, I was in a 3.5 year relationship, and I was living with my boyfriend, and it was the highlight of my life. I never thought about marriage. I never thought about kids. Until this person came along and asked my family for my hand in marriage after 2 years and moved me in and just was like everything I could have ever wanted in a man. And this was someone that I shared God with. This is someone that I shared everything with. And so I was so extremely happy. But around the time that I had left Minneapolis to come and shoot Beach Bum or audition for Beach Bum, I was at a really turbulent time in my relationship, and I never thought that it was like anything crazy. I just thought, things happen in relationships, arguments, disagreements, whatever it may be. But when I actually left to shoot Beach Bum, my ex-boyfriend, he explained to me that he really didn't want me to do it. He told me he didn't want the world to see me the way that he saw me, and him and I are both believers, or I should say I was, because according to his actions he definitely wasn't. But his biggest thing is, yeah, he didn't want the world to see me nude or topless or whatever it was. Come to find out, really what it was it was just a spirit of jealousy and a spirit of insecurity as well. But while I was shooting the film, during that time, I had come home one of the days that I had a break, and I came home and I found out that there was someone moved into my home. So my boyfriend moved another woman into my home. So when I came back finally from Miami for the final time, I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to go, and it was so devastating, not just to lose my security, like my sense of security, having a place to stay and having a relationship that I thought was actually um, lifelong. um, but it was so many mental, emotional things going on in me because of that situation. And I had to hold it together. I've always worked like 3 jobs. I've always worked for the airlines. I do hair. I've worked retail, and I've worked them all in conjunction. And so I'm used to the hustle. I'm used to making things happen. But when you take an emotional blow like that, it alters everything. And I just found that it was hard for me to continue. it was it was hard for me to continue on. It was hard for me to have a clear mind. It was hard for me to just keep things together. And the thing that gave me the most joy, which was so necessary, was the fact that I was able to be part of such a huge and monumental project. And so in the midst of all this darkness, I feel like God really used that situation, Beach Bum, and Beach Bum happening through you, just to kind of keep my spirit up because I was so down. And there were so many things in that time that I lost, and there's so many things even now. It's been a year and a half that I'm still working on. I'm still working on um, trust. I'm still working on even being able to socialize, because after that situation, I became extremely introverted. I became extremely untrusting of people in general, men and women. And I just lost a lot of hope. But the positive thing, and the amazingly positive thing, was the project that I had did with, you guys in Universal for Beach Bum. And just, I decided that even though, I was emotionally damaged and I had felt like I had lost so much, I decided to focus my energy on making the most of the ventures that I had in front of me, which was this new path that I felt that I had with your agency, and this new path that I felt that I had with Beach Bum. And before I had ever even, physically met you or Chevelle, I remember being in like high school and like Googling ethnicity models and talent, and I never knew that you were the owner. I just always knew the brand, and I always knew the talent that came from it. And so to have shared the same room at your birthday party as all those women that I had seen since I was a kid, it was such a privilege. And so I just really want to thank you for having me a part of your journey. I want you to understand how much your small actions have impacted the lives in my life that in ways that you may have never known. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to God for positioning me. And like I said, I used to watch and see your website and your database from the time I was in high school. I grew up modeling here in Minneapolis, and I also grew up in the performing arts. So I grew up being classically trained in ballet and in jazz and tap and in hip hop. And I had acting coaches the whole time I was, in grade school. And so um, over time, you end up, getting a little bit more focused on more cynical things like, oh, I need to make money, I need a regular job, those kinds of things. But I always really wanted to invest in my dreams, which was modeling and acting. And even here in the Twin Cities, I'm represented by 3 different agencies, and I was repeatedly told by the agencies here in Minnesota that my look did not fit this market, that I looked too sensual, or I was too busty, or whatever it was. It was always something, and I was continually trying to conform to what they wanted of me to appear so that I could book work. And after so many times of going to castings and seeing other talent and thinking like, oh my God, I should be booking this. Like, I know I should be booking this, but my look didn't fit the market. That is really what pushed me to get very, very serious about ethnicity and get very, very serious about looking at markets, outside of my home state. And so I just want to thank you for your support. Like I said, I know we're not super close. I know I don't know all of your story. I know you don't know all of my story, but I wanted to share this with you because I found myself getting so overwhelmed at dinner because I was just like, man, I share the same room of LaShawnna Stanley, the woman whose agency I used to like Google and look at from the time I was in high school. Like, that was just astonishing. And then also too to feel like I was even, considered or thought of meant a whole lot to me. So I thank you and I appreciate you. Like I said, I know we're not super, super close, so that's just fine. But the fact that you've made it a point to be welcoming to me and you've made it a point to be supportive of me, I highly appreciate that. And I really want to continue to grow in my field. I really want to continue to invest in my growth, and I'm appreciative for being a part of something that is so monumental, not just for the industry, but for women of color, because we get told so many different things in so many different places. And to be told yes and to be booking the type of work that you've had me be a part of is beyond belief. At this point, I have to tell myself, like, in a 2 year span, I've been featured in two major feature films alongside Martin Lawrence. You know, both of the films had Martin Lawrence in them. Both of them had A-list talent, and for me to be a part of that is a blessing, and I'm grateful, and I would never ever take it for granted. And I know how impactful those things are because I know how low and how dark my life was at those points in times, and how much light and love and hope those projects and being a part of those projects has brought into me. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm sorry for crying a little much, but you know, when I think about where I was mentally back at that time, I was mentally at a place of legit disparity. I was mentally at a place of I didn't want to I didn't want to wake up. There's just days I didn't want to wake up because of how hurt and crushed I was, and because of how much I had felt like I lost, um, not having a place to stay, and things going, things going off with my job because mentally and emotionally I didn't have the capacity to be present um, mentally at work, and I didn't have a capacity to handle things the way I can usually handle things. So just so many things were falling, but I just decided to focus my energy into Beach Bum and focus my energy into my acting classes. And I'm just like, it's sad. It's tears of joy and tears of sorrow because I remember those feelings, but also just tears of joy now because I'm so much better, and because all those things were used to put me in a position now, and I'm just grateful. So thank you, LaShawnna, for having me not just a part of your birthday, but having me a part of your legacy. I'm so happy to be a form of representation of your brand. And happy birthday. And thank you again. I love you. And I want to see your house. I got so sick after dinner at the Versace mansion. I don't know if it was like the seafood was undercooked or something, but I was real sick the next day. But needless to say, I want to see your house. I want to spend more time with you. I want to know more about what your story really is. And besides, this last little few years of my life, I would like you to know more about who I am as well and the things that I've experienced. But yeah, so um, I hope you made it to all 12 minutes. I love you. See you soon. Talk to you soon. Bye.